Now, see this guy's posts. Before this guy post say finally Junior Pope is gone, he don't make 4 other videos. Do you understand? Now, the starting of this Junior Pope thing is this particular live video where he talks say RIP Junior Pope. Do you understand? Now, let's listen to the part of the video.
But that don't enter in brain now. As what enter in brain.
So many fundamental principles of life that this generation is negating to the doom of this generation because of one stupid thing in this generation called cloud chasing, and which is driven by poverty and ignorance and lack of proper day-to-day orientation, because every day people are hooked up to their social media and everybody is just being distracted by the function of cloud chase to the detriment of common sense. To the detriment of common sense. Common sense could have saved Junior Pope. Common sense and commitment of an average human being towards the safety and rescue of souls, of lives at any point of critical moment of accident, which is a normal thing that an average right-thinking human being actually should know at the point of growing up. But these days, these things are actually born out of common sense. One of the most commonest of all sensibilities is now becoming almost highly uncommon, that people, sorry to say, some human beings are behaving like, I don't know what to say. But before I go further, I want us to listen to just the beginning point of VDM's analysis of the whole point of happening, from the point where Junior Pope was brought out from the river while still retaining some element of life in him, to the point where the suggestion came for him to be taken to the mortuary immediately, and from mortuary then to the native doctor for whatever stupid rituals, or I don't know what rituals, and from there to the point where he was now referred back to the first place where he was supposed to be referred to first, which is the hospital. So now the first point of call now becoming the last point of call, which is the main reason why Junior Pope died. It's not because of the river. The river did not take him. The river drowned him, or the river did not strap life out of him. He came out with some element of life in him. But human negligence, human stupidity, human non-sensibility, and the distraction that has clouded this generation in the form of cloud chase, driven by poverty and high level of selfishness and envy and jealousy, is what actually killed Junior Pope. And I hope we learn from this. But first of all, let's watch this analysis. Then I'll come back to it. Thank you.
Now, see this guy's posts. Before this guy post say finally Junior Pope is gone, he don't make 4 other videos. Do you understand? Now, the starting of this Junior Pope thing is this particular live video where he talks say RIP Junior Pope. Do you understand? Now, let's listen to the part of the video.
But that don't enter in brain now. As what enter in brain, don't finish.
How much is life jacket? You pay person million.
Now, in this video, he say water don't enter in head, and as water don't enter in head, he don't finish. You understand? That means claiming that Junior Pope don't finish, like he don't go. Now, later part of this same video, this same live video, listen to this part.
No, they don't carry on much. When they go in Bama, carry on tomorrow morning, they go in the house now. No, not here. They are doing house.
Now, in this later part of this same live video, when he talks say RIP, rest in peace, Junior Pope.
So welcome back. So now, this is my point. We saw the video where the guy is already concluding. I don't know on which capacity that he was concluding on, either as a doctor or whatever, that water don't enter in brain, so he don't die. So he's now self-concluding that Junior Pope was dead. And the second part of the short video, because it's actually a long video, but when you have chance, you can check it out on VDM's whatever. But the second part of that video was when they were not deliberating. This one was saying let's take him to the mortuary. I was saying, no, we make we take and go to a village, to Enugu state or whatever. Now, this is my point. This is why I said lack of common sense, selfishness is actually what killed Junior Pope. Now, all this while all these deliberations were going on, all these nonsense deliberations were going on, the young man with some element of life that is still trapped in him is still struggling for attention, for some medical attention, even if it is some certain level of knowledgeable first aid attention, even before hospital. But I didn't see any part where any of that was administered to him. Why he was still struggling with the last stripe of life in him. Men, grown-up men, where they eat. Some don't born pikin, some go school, some are professionals. This is what they were deliberating. What was more important to them was to conclude that he was dead, or how to now take him to mortuary or to the village. Remind you, no one mentioned hospital, which was supposed to be the first thing that should come into the mind of any man born of a woman, wey suckle on the breast of a woman, wey suppose get common sense. Now I begin to wonder, wetin happen to human beings of this generation, where you see an average adult wey suppose know normal things, wey even kids know those days when they grow up, that in a critical moment of accident or something like that, the first thing if you cannot administer first aid, then if it is so critical, the first point of call should be the hospital. I don't know where it comes that people now ignorantly conclude that somebody is dead because you now feel, say, water don't enter in head. How did you test? What do you take test? How did you take come about the fact, say, water don't enter in brain, say you don't die? For you now begin to deliberate, okay, whether not to mortuary or for them to go village. And meanwhile, while on a day they deliberate all those things, the young man's life, this little stripe of life in him, was begging all of you for attention. Please save me. Take me to the nearest hospital. Take me to the nearest clinic. Please don't let me die. And men were busy videoing, chasing clout. I saw a video when almost tens of people, if not 100, rushed into the morgue with their phones and torchlight, all just to come and make content, to create content out of a dying man who should have been in the hospital in the place of that mortuary. And yet, the most painful part of it, if you follow this analysis to the end, even when the mortuary attendants actually confirmed in the place of the doctor, and a doctor was supposed, because if it's a hospital, the moment it was confirmed that some stripe of life in him, then the first aid would have been administered to him, and from that point, that young man would have survived. But see another level of bewitchment. From there, when the young man was confirmed to still have some stripe of life in him, yet that could not still correct the senses in an average human being born of woman in this generation. Yet the next thing is the best suggestion that could come out of this circle of people is to now take him to one stupid native doctor to perform one stupid ritual that I don't know. And at the end of the day, when that process has failed, that is when you now remember, okay, let's take him to the hospital. Because if you watch the end of that VDM's post, you say, okay, the native doctor say, will take him, he don't even die. I think the chance is about 95% to 5%. And that is when you people now remember the hospital when he had finally died. VDM is not wrong when he called out for all of you, most especially that guy, that were there. What happened to the first point of call, which should have been either any form of immediate first aid or the hospital or the nearest clinic? What happened to that? Why mortuary immediately? Why the conclusion that he was dead when you are not in the medical position or authority to conclude that? Then why, even why he now was now discovered to be still be alive, why not taking him to a native doctor instead of to the hospital when nature has presented a second chance for this young man to live, and he cannot live on his own? He needs the people around him to take the right decision. But because of the poor, retarded mental state that we find ourselves today, because of poverty, clout chase, and high level of insensitivity and selfishness that is ravaging this generation, that is what took life out of that young man. I hope we are all learning from this. Mothers and fathers are watching this. Shout, hey, instead of looking into these critical things that are happening in our society and coming together to say, how are we going to be dealing with situations like this? We are losing common sense in our generation. This lack of common sense in our generation is costing life, costing marriages, costing relationships, costing a lot health, costing a lot of things. And yet, all of us are burying our head in the sound of distraction, all chasing clouds to the detriment of all of us. I hope this does not happen to you. I hope Junior Pope, the one that will happen tomorrow, should not be your brother or your sister or your uncle, you that is watching. You that is watching, and just all you care is just to make a repose and make a cloud chase out of all that is happening around you these days. I hope we learn from this. And I hope we begin to correct some certain things that has to do with the right orientation that an average human being is supposed to have at any critical point of accident. And I hope we begin to readdress the issue of common sense that is highly lacking in this generation, whereby common sense has become highly uncommon. That even wisdom these days is nothing to compare to common sense. Common sense is, when you have common sense these days, be like your wisdom self no get part two. I'm telling you. And it's highly disheartening. May God help us. And may we correct this kind of things that is happening in our society, that is being triggered by this social media era, where this more way people don't realize, say, content now small change. At the end of the day, how many people content they even pay? How many people content they pay? Everybody wants to start chasing clout of content because of poverty and selfishness. At the end of the day, none of us will survive if we keep on living life like this, selfishly, insensitively. Everybody coming camera to video to talk, instead of thinking of what is the reality on ground. What can I do? What can I add as a value? How can I help?